What's up, YouTube? This is Matt with Imrose's Not So Exotics, bringing you a new video. I've had a subscriber who seemed pretty interested in Harvey the Gulf Coast toad, so I figured I'd do a little video on him. He has been out quite a bit lately. You can see right here he is looking extra interested because I just added some crickets to his enclosure. Don't know if we'll get feeding on video. There's one crawling on his back right now. He's been kind of secretive with his eating. He won't eat super worms in front of me or in front of the camera. Looks like you might have just got a cricket. There's one on his back right now. I typically feed him super worms, but wanted to, change it up a little bit, and added some crickets to his enclosure. I asked for small. Some of them are probably what would be considered medium-sized crickets, but I'm sure he'll handle them no problem. There were quite a bit of superworm beetles living in here with him at one time, and I've moved some of them to my tortoise enclosures to kind of help as a cleanup crew. And the rest of him, I believe he ate, because there was quite a few in here at one time. But yeah, he just hangs out, usually kind of buried in the substrate. Lately he's been out a lot. He spends quite a bit of time in his water dish, as you can see right here. Sometimes he's perched on top of this nut hide dish thing. I don't know what they're called, seed hut or something. But I keep saying I'm going to make his enclosure a little bit bigger. For a while I was thinking about letting him live outside my backyard with some other wild Gulf Coast toads, but I think I'm going to hold on to him. You can see a superworm beetle kind of over there in the back. I think I'm going to hold on to him, and I will eventually update his enclosure into a 20-gallon I have laying around. But even though he looks kind of large, he's not really mobile, so I don't think he's cramped for space necessarily. Obviously, the bigger the enclosure, the better. But I think he's doing great. Happy, healthy toad, and he's growing. I mean, he's a fat blob, if I'm honest. So I'm trying not to overfeed him, but crickets are 5 cents each, and 10 of them was like 50 cents, and I think I got more than 10, to be honest. But these should last him a solid week or so, and then I'll go back to feeding him super worms, or maybe some mealworms or waxworms or whatever I can get. But he's a cool toad. I wish he was out and about a little bit more, or year-round, I guess I should say. He gets light from above from this Zoo-Med canopy light, as well as natural sunlight when I have the windows open. And the pothos, I have to trim it back, it seems like every week, or it'll start growing and so bad it'll push the lid up. But he's a cool toad. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know how tiny he was just over a year ago during Hurricane Harvey, when we kind of grabbed him from the stormwater. Oh, I got an eat on camera. So he likes his crickets. I'm happy to see him eating. I know he has been eating. When I put superworms in here, I typically crush their heads so they don't crawl into the substrate and turn into more superworm beetles like you see up there. And they disappear from where I leave them. So I know he eats them. I just haven't seen him eat in a while, but he's still fatting around and happy. And I was always kind of told a fat frog, or a toad in this case, is a happy frog or toad. He loves soaking in his water dish, usually in the evenings. But yeah, he's a great toad. They get much bigger than this. I've actually, at some of the last reptile shows I went to, I saw some Gulf Coast toads that were so big they're about the size of full-grown bullfrogs. I didn't know toads got that big, so I hope he or she does get that big one day. But the his growth has kind of slowed down a little bit compared to that first year, which I think is normal. But yeah, if you get the opportunity to own one, you know, they're fairly low maintenance. This is a bioactive setup using the biodude.com's products. His drainage layer, which I don't know that you necessarily need. One of his soils, I don't remember which one. Some sphagnum moss. I think even my springtails and isopods came from him originally, as this substrate was in one of my dart frog tanks. And even this cork bark came from him. The pothos is something I had. But yeah, check them out if you ever get the opportunity. Gulf Coast toads make a great beginner amphibian or toad. I think they have less demanding requirements than maybe some of the Pac-Man frogs or tomato frogs, which were also on my list and still are. You know, I used to keep only dart frogs, but I got sick of trying to keep fruit fly cultures around. I was never successful at culturing them myself, and when I would buy cultures, it was a lot of money and they never seemed to stay alive for me. So I do plan to get back into some different frog species in the future, but as far as dart frogs go, I'm looking at probably Terribilis, as they get bigger and they can handle crickets and things like that. But anyway, I appreciate the commenter who's been asking about Harvey. I'm sorry I don't remember your YouTube name off the top of my head, but this video is for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the channel as it grows, and I'll try and post more interesting videos soon. Thanks, YouTube.